Hey there, are you a print or brand designer who hasn't tried Figma yet but really wants to? Well, this tutorial is for you. We're going to be creating a one-page sales sheet in under 10 minutes. And I'm going to be showing you some tools along the way that will remind you of Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. Alright, let's get started. Here's the one sheet we'll be designing today. It's for a fictional company that sells hiking boots, and you can see it has everything a sales sheet needs. A bold headline, product photos, features, and iconography. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to create this exact layout yourself, step by step. So before we get started on our design, let's go over the Figma interface. So on your left, you have layers, and at the bottom are tools, and on the right are properties. Let's look at the toolbar in detail. The toolbar is your hub for interacting with and adding objects to the canvas. Here's an overview of some of the tools I use most and their shortcuts. The Move tool you'll go back to often. The shortcut is V. To quickly pan around your artboard, hit the spacebar and you'll get a hand tool. The other key I use most is Command Drag, which zooms in and out of the artboard. And the Scale tool is handy when scaling multiple objects at once, preserving their aspect ratio. Its shortcut is K. Next, the Frame tool for creating the building blocks of Figma. Its shortcut is F. Of the Shape tools, I use the rectangle the most. That's R. The Text tool shortcut is T. The Comment tool is important when collaborating. Figma allows you to share your file in view-only mode, giving those users comment access. Next are Actions. Mostly these are AI tools meant to speed up your design process. If you want to pick apart a Figma file, try First Draft, which gives you a template based on your prompt. Let's look at the Properties panel in detail. In the Properties panel, you can view, add, remove, or change the properties of objects within your design. These options change depending on the item you select. If nothing is selected on the canvas, you'll be able to do the following from the Design tab. Access styles and variables that are local to the file, update the background color of the canvas, and export your entire page. With the frame selected, you'll see its position, its alignment, and if it's using auto layout, which we'll get to in a minute. You'll also see its appearance, fill color, opacity, effects. Then you'll see selection colors. This can be a quick way to find colors on your artboard and change them. Next is layout guides, and then export. The thing you'll see often is the ability to create a style out of just about anything in the Properties panel. Plan ahead and your work will go quickly and easily. Let's start with frames. Think of these as artboards in Illustrator, but with more power. So if I choose the Frame tool, I can go over here and select one of the presets. So I'm going to click on Paper and Letter. Unlike artboards, frames can have their own fills. So for instance, I could go in here and change this fill to a color. That's something you can't do in Illustrator with artboards. And they can have their own strokes and even auto layout rules. Here's a big one. Frames can be nested. So if I select the Frame tool again and draw within the bounds of the other frame, then I've got a nested frame. And both the parent and the child have their own attributes, their own fills, strokes, and layout settings. I'm going to bring in my vector logo by just dragging it onto the artboard. So you'll notice it already put it inside of a frame. In order to resize this, I just hold on to the bounding box and drag. Now let's add some headline text and body copy. I want to create a style sheet so that I can reuse this later. I go up to Apply Styles and I hit Create Style. Now, anytime I have some copy, I can reuse those style sheets. For alignment, you can hold the Option key down to see real-time measurements of your object and the margins around it. So if I need to measure between this and another object, I can do that. So if you go up to View and select Rulers, you can see rulers that you can pull guides down from, very similar to Adobe products. The other thing you can do is you can set a layout grid for margins and gutters by going down to Layout Guide. You can choose a grid or columns, and then you can choose a margin on the outside and gutters. This feels like Illustrator, but with InDesign's control built right in. Next up, brand colors. We're going to save some of the colors from our logo as styles. This way we can call the colors up for any of our other frames or objects on the board. The awesome thing about saving swatches as styles, they're global. So you can change them once and the whole document updates. So I'm going to bring in an image and I'll show you how that works. So I created a frame and I'm going to add a fill and I'm going to select image and upload from computer. So you can stack multiple fills on a single object. So you can add gradients and more fills to a single object. And you can create a style out of this object. So if you want to make sure that every time you create a one sheet, you have this gradient on it, you can then add this style. To edit one of your style sheets that you've already made, just select the style sheet under typography and then click the settings button. Now let's bring in some product photos. I'm going to use the frame tool again. And under fill, I'm going to select an image. Now, if you do this, you can edit your image in a variety of ways, or you can also generate a new one. Frames double as clipping masks. They're flexible and they keep your layout responsive. Resize the frame and the photo adjusts within it. In Figma, images aren't linked to the original file like in Illustrator or Photoshop. They're embedded right into your design. So the next thing I'm going to do is create another frame for our product copy. So now for my product information, I have an icon, I have some copy, and a couple of color swatches. And I'm going to explain a little bit about auto layout. With auto layout, your design adapts automatically. Watch what happens when I add more copy. Do you see how the swatches moved down and the size of the text box increased? It expanded while keeping the spacing intact. It's like InDesign's text boxes, but dynamic. Once you get used to this, you'll wish every app worked this way. So I have the main frame, which I have as auto layout. Then I have the shoe, and then I have the frame where I have the two text boxes. And then lastly, I have the color swatches in another frame. So this auto layout is pulling things together vertically with a top alignment. Next, I'm going to go over components. Components are a way to have reusable, editable objects everywhere. Think of these like smart objects in Photoshop. So what we're going to do is create two versions of this logo. I'm going to right click on the frame and I'm going to go to create component. I like to put components on their own page to keep them organized. Then we're going to right click on it again and we're going to hit add variant. So it copies the logo. On this one we're going to have the word Wildstride in green. So let's go back to our page and insert this component. We go under the Assets tab and you look at created in this file, and there we are, our Wildstride logo. Insert instance. And what's nice about this is if you go into the component and make any changes, it'll show up wherever you have that instance. So we have our color logo and the white logo variables, and you can switch between them instantly. And you can publish a library of your assets for use in your other projects. Just hit the library button and then hit publish. So here you can see the items that it's going to include. So anytime you make changes to your style sheets or your components, you want to hit publish so that your assets are consistent across all your projects. So the next thing we're going to do is export a PDF with trim marks. So first off, I'm going to uncheck clip content under layout for this page. Feel the bleeds that I've created. I already have a frame with trim marks on it, so I'm going to drop my page onto it. Finally, we're going to take the outer frame and we're going to export this out as a PDF. And remember, Figma saves automatically.
You can roll back with version history at any time under File. No more lost crash files. I'm not going to miss that. And that's your polished one-page sales sheet, designed entirely in Figma. You've learned frames, text, styles, components, auto layout, and print export. If you want to take your Figma workflow further, check out my other tutorials on Figma Make, Figma's AI tool. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials on Figma and modern design tools.